Hey guys, I recently saw a Rakdos deck centered around Ozai that was a commander deck, but it was also a land destruction deck, and I'll link the video in the description. Now, Standard doesn't really have a bunch of good land destruction, so I decided that in order to make it for Standard, I'd really have to center it around Ozai. Now, this is called Rakdos Firebending Ramp, and we are a ramp deck because we're trying to ramp in Ozai. That being said, ramp is not really a playstyle I like, typically, but the thing is this ramp is not really your normal ramp, and I'll explain why. Ozai's effect is that your mana doesn't go away each phase or each turn, and it becomes red instead. And that can also give him indestructible too if you have enough. And Bayo here actually works in a really similar way, although it's not exactly a one-to-one way, I don't think. So there is some like niche rules to play around here if you want to dig into like how cards like Pyromancer work. I think I could be wrong, but Bayo kind of works in a similar way. You can add a bunch of mana when you cast instant and sorcery spells. Only one. He doesn't have Firebending like Ozai does, but it just stays kind of in your pocket, so to speak. Right? It'll carry on from phase to phase and turn to turn. So your mana rocks aren't just here for you to cast a one-time spell and just get bigger and bigger spells. They're actually here to provide you increasingly incremental advantages as the game goes on, because these cards, that once you get them out, your mana is not going anywhere. It's actually going to continually stack up and up and up, and it's going to make you more and more powerful. So when you play cards like Lewis, for example, which we have a one of, this is a pay X card. We're just going to have so much mana to pay into a guy like this that this is easily going to just knock down a guy like from, whatever HP is at to like half of it, or even be a good finisher. And plus it's a creature threat, which is also nice. So if you really need to put something down, you can. But even cards like Day of Black Sun and Endblaze Epiphany, you both pay X on either of these cards, and we can just get so much mana stocked up that Day of Black Sun can just become just as good, or in some cases better, than a Deadly Cover-Up. Now we're still running 2 Deadly Cover-Up because it's just good to dig into people's graveyards sometimes, and we still have to, like, all this ramp still helps us get this at turn 4, so essentially we have like a better Day of Judgment, assuming we can actually collect the evidence. So we're only running 2 of these, and honestly you could probably run 4 Black Suns. I only happen to have 3 at the moment because I just haven't spent the rare on it. But I've been getting away with 3, so if you can run 3 and it feels fine, don't fix what ain't broken. But I do think 4 Day of Black Suns is a really good idea. I don't really know what you would drop. You'd probably drop Zuko's Conviction or Redirect Lightning, but I'm keeping those in the deck for now, because what Zuko's Conviction does is it basically, like, being able to kick this thing, and it's an instant speed, dig into your graveyard, put it on the battlefield. If our first Ozai dies, being able to summon him back on our enemy's end step right before they end the turn, and then he's back online with, haste, firebending 4. I mean, with all of his traits are really good. So not that haste would matter in that context, but I mean, you've probably been able to get an attack off, and then you can get another attack off. I mean, 7/7, that's no joke. That's really good. So it's a really good creature to summon back. We could also pick other stuff out if we really want to, but it's not bad. Probably better as a sideboard card, but I just like running a 1-of because I needed to put something in here. It was something that the commander deck had in it as well, or it had some similar sort of cards that I just used this as a replacer of. I don't think it's a bad idea. You could probably just sideboard it or not play it. But I wanted to test it out. It seemed pretty cool. Redirect Lightning, I've talked about this card before. Being able to just protect your stuff and then even redirect it at instant speed is just really nice. Paying life could maybe suck because we are a sort of... we are on the defense for the first like half of the game. So we only have one source of lifelink, I think, and just getting life. So paying 5 life can be pretty risky, especially when we have all these like life lost lands and whatnot. But it could still be worth it. Maybe something else that you could sideboard, but I'm just... I've only played this deck in Best of 1. I have made a sideboard, but I have only played this deck in Best of 1, and it's been a lot of fun. Way more fun than I thought it would be, to be honest. In Blaze Epiphany, you know, pay X, like I said, really good in this kind of a deck. We can just, like, we can end up paying so much mana, it's insane. And, you know, being able to exile a bunch of cards based on the power of the guy that we kill is quite good to filter this stuff out early, because generally speaking, when you start the game, you really want to have one of these mana rocks in your hand. I mean, we're running 4 of them, which is pretty crazy. At least it might seem pretty crazy. The reason we're running 4 of them, though, is that we really, really, really want to get to Legend of Roku. Legend of Roku is our card draw spell, right? It's the main way we end up drawing cards, and it adds mana, and it creates a guy with Firebending 4, which has an ability to create dragon tokens, which with 8 mana sounds like a lot, but we're going to be, like I said, we're going to have so much mana to pay for stuff like that, so we can actually get these dragons out if we need to, which is really cool. And what's also cool is that this isn't like a tapped ability. We can just do this on the enemy's turn if we want. So we could hold up, you know, enough mana to protect Ozai, and then on their turn, once they've extended their mana, we just use it to create this dragon, which is really cool. We have 4 lightning strikes because we want to have a instant speed, you know, just anytime we firebend, if we need to lightning strike something, we can, and it can be whatever we want it to be. 3 is less than 4, obviously, because like Seer would be 4. If you want to run Seer, you can. I'm doing this so we can hit face. I want to really be able to hit face with this deck. Ozai has trample for a reason. We really want to get as much damage on face. And we have some really good cards to just, you know, very quickly end the game once we get our deck going. So I'm just running 4 lightning strikes straight up. They're good removal, they're good burn. It's just nice to have. The last Agni Kai, another instant speed spell. We can use this on our Ozai usually, but we could also use this on Lewis and it wouldn't be bad. We get this to fight something, which for Lewis we would get a bunch of life potentially from it, which would be awesome. But Ozai would be even better because he's a 7/7. And we get mana, so any sort of excess damage that we do, we're going to get mana for each point of excess damage. And then this also means that we get to, for this card just alone, it's another one of these, you don't lose the unspent mana right away, which is really cool. But this is going to potentially just, it's going to add so much mana sometimes. So if you cast this, yeah, like if you're attacking with him, you get Firebending 4. God forbid you're attacking with both of these guys, you just get a whole bunch of Firebending. And then you cast this at instant speed. And then you get even more mana from just casting this. You actually get a higher, like, you get return value than what your original cast is. And so you can just end up blowing people up if they kill Bayo, or, you know, you get Lewis out or something. It's honestly amazing. And that's what Bender's Waterskin is also here to do. Something to do with this, and also our lands. If we have Bayo or Ozai out, make sure that you are tapping this every untap step. Like after every turn, like on your turn and their turn, you are always adding mana with this. On top of that, you also always want to be adding mana with your lands. Okay, so on the end of their turn, you know, if you've got nothing else to do, you want to tap all of your lands when you have Ozai and Bayo out, because that mana is staying with you. So you could have like 8 lands, you just tap all of them, and now you've got 8 more mana for your turn. Insane. So I think I've pretty much went over Legend of Roku as much as I can. I went over Deadly Cover-Up. Pyromancer's Goggles is something I've wanted to use for a long time, and it actually makes quite a bit of sense in this deck, especially when we're running these 2 Burst Lightnings, which are also here to hit face, as well as Lightning Strike. So we'll have the mana to be able to kick these into face, which is really cool. But this mana right here, it is used specifically to create copies of any sort of sorcery or instant red spell. So that's why we want to run a lot of like red removal that can also go face. So we could just do like 6 damage pretty easily to face with Lightning Strike, or even 8 damage if we like a kick burst. So this mana also, the way I saw it interact with Bayo is that it doesn't immediately, like, this mana is a unique mana. So if you have this unique red mana that just stays, you can actually stack this effect every time you tap it, right? So it'll actually stockpile this specific mana away from your other red mana. Now I think Ozai would just transfer it into red mana, but if you have Bayo out, this mana just stays there. So you could just stockpile these, and then on one turn just decide to cast, you know, 2 lightning strikes. You spend 1 mana on one of these, you copy that, and then you copy the next one. So you could do potentially 12 damage with 2 lightning strikes if your Pyromancer goggles are out. But also, even if you're not doing that, just adding the mana and it just staying around for these guys is still really good. And even it transferring into just regular red mana, if it does do that, that's still cool too. We have Fire Nation Palace. We only have 2 of them, and our lands are, for the most part, pretty cut and dry. I really just wanted to, like, make sure I have the lands that I need in order to actually play the deck appropriately. I didn't really go too adventurous with it. I just went with 2 Fire Nation Palace. You could go 4 if you wanted to, but I just want to make sure that these are coming in untapped. I do have a couple of these lands to make sure my Verges get online and that I have a good mana spread. But I'm not really running too many, you know, like non-regular dual lands that you would see. So just paying 2 mana to get Firebending 4 on Fire Nation Palace, totally worth it. Totally worth doing. You know, a lot of the time, especially if it's on like Bayo or Ozai and you're just stockpiling mana. So definitely do that. That is it for the main deck. And like I said, I've only run this in best of 1, but here are some cards that I would consider. I think this is like, you could just run this and just run best of 3, and I think this would be fine, but it could probably use some tweaking. But this is what I'm starting with. I think this is actually a good sideboard that I would run. And like I said, I would probably also run like Zuko's Conviction and maybe even Redirect Lightning. I would probably just toss that into the sideboard, get rid of a couple of these cards, maybe throw in some sort of, you know, maybe a Braid, or I would throw in, what else? What else would I throw in? Another Day of Black Sun. I think I'd probably do that. Even Fire Magic is really good for this deck as well, but I think I would leave that in the sideboard. So we have a couple of Duress, because if we're playing black, there's really no reason to not play Duress. It's just so needed in certain matchups. I have played Duress before on this channel, and I do recommend you play Duress, but I really am kind of opposed to this card. I actually don't like it, but it's just what you have to do sometimes. If you wanted to be a bit more honest, there's a card called Ruthless Negotiation. I really like that card, but the problem is with that card is that it lets them decide what card they're discarding, and that's really good for certain decks. But the whole reason we run Duress is that we want to make sure that we get rid of the proper removal, right? We have to make sure we get rid of like a giant mill spell, or we get rid of a board wipe, or something that can target Ozai. That's the main thing. So although Redirect Lightning is a way cooler way to protect Ozai, and being able to get him back out of the graveyard is also really cool, sometimes that can just, the conditions for that are too narrow. I'm also running Binding Negotiation, which I think is more fair at 2 mana. And I'm running this because its secondary effect of being able to flip exiled cards back into a graveyard, I think is really, really neat. And it's something that I want to do against like warp decks. So you know when people play like Quantum Riddler, right? Just for some reason this card is at like 2 mana warp. So we could Binding Negotiation that and just put it into the graveyard and they can't use it again. Fire Magic is makes a lot of sense as another board sweeper, because we'll have the mana to be able to use this, and it's an instant spell, which is also just nice to have, so it'll work well with our Firebending effects. Kind of just an obvious pick in this deck list, I think, for a sideboard card. Strategic Betrayal is more graveyard hate, but also, you know, just being able to not target something and kill it is really, really cool. Sometimes you really need that with cards that have a lot of ward or enchantments, stuff like that, because we have the board wipes like Black Sun, Deadly Cover-Up, Fire Magic if you need it. A lot of times there's, you know, if there is something that's still on the board, it's probably only going to be one guy. And being able to just totally get rid of it, exile it, it's out of the game, not to worry about anymore. You can exile a whole bunch of lessons from their deck as well. That's just really, really useful. A Braid is just, you know, this is for destroying artifacts primarily. We have enough stuff that deals 3 damage. But, you know, if you need to deal with artifacts, or maybe even more creatures that, if they're just kind of flooding the board with a bunch of creatures like nonstop, and you just want to be a little bit more consistent with it early on before your Black Sun can get online, this is just a good card to have. But it's primarily here just to artifact hate against stuff like Monument and other things like that. Arch Enemy's Charm is another this card is so cool. It's another dig into your graveyard if we want, but it's also here to exile a creature or planeswalker. The 3 black might be a little rough. There is potential that could be hard to get on turn 3 if we need it on turn 3. But this isn't really a turn 3 card. It's more of a later game card once we have our Bayo or our Ozai down, or even Lewis. Like, we could also put lifelink counters on stuff, which is really, really nice. So if we put a lifelink on Ozai, I mean, that is just really good. I don't think I would do that most of the time. Most of the time, this is going to be a kill something, exile it, or just return Ozai back into your hand. But that option is still pretty cool for lifelink if you really need it. Withering Torment is enchantment and just more creature removal. Just, you know, you do lose the 2 life, which for this deck is a little rough, I'm not going to lie. That's why I only included one of them. But still, it's nice to be able to target an enchantment if you really need to. The End is just a classic sideboard black hate piece. So if you need to just totally get rid of a planeswalker out of the game, totally get rid of a really annoying creature threat or something like that, this is your go-to card every time. Not only is Virtue a removal spell that gives us life, just the fact that they actually see it, right? That they see this thing in exile, and it's a late game threat. And not only that, it's a threat that it's not just about like you're gonna take their creatures, which is usually when you would put this into the deck, is if they're a creature list. But that I could also take back in Ozai, take back in Bayo. We have a few cards that already do that, so it's a little bit redundant. So you would generally just want to use this against creature decks. But just the threat alone of just showing them, hey, if you don't hurry up, like, I am going to have a really significant late game threat on the board. And that's a really big deal for your opponent to see, because it's going to shift on how they play the game. They might dedicate more stuff to the board. And if they do, that's when we use our Day of Black Sun, our Deadly Cover-Ups, our Fire Magic potentially. We have a lot of removal, so kind of forcing the issue on them and then just wiping out their threats, it pretty much just wins you the game. And on top of that, after you've wiped out their threats, you'll be able to dig into their graveyard. It's pretty sweet. Ugin is something I think you could genuinely main deck in this list. You gaining life and drawing cards is just great because we don't have a significant amount of card draw. I don't think we have any card draw outside of, you know, Roku and Endblaze Epiphany. So actually drawing cards and not just exiling them is really nice. And gaining life is also really nice because we are more of a control, slower paced deck. We're trying to ramp up into stuff. So the ramp that we're already doing for Ozai would also work perfectly well with Ugin. Things like Waterskin, the Goggles, Ironcrag. This all works really well with Ugin's... Oh my god. Yeah, this sideboard... Okay, I just need to click it. This all works really well with Ugin's exile effects. And the add mana, this is something really cool with this deck. The add 3 mana is actually so good with this list. It makes so much sense. It's the only time... Like, normally I don't think of building around Ugin for the add 3 mana, but in this case, I think this is actually such a good list for that. It just makes a lot of sense. I don't even think you're going to need to do, you know, the ultimate in this kind of a list, unless you really want to find your Pyromancer Goggles or something like that. Which would be good. Like, finding your, you know, Waterskins or Goggles or Ironcrags is nice, but the add 3 on top of it all is just... It's actually really good for this deck. It's not something I've tried, but you could totally main deck that, and I think it'd be fine. I think this is a pretty decent sideboard. I hope you guys have fun. I'm going to show you guys some games. And I'll see you when the next set releases. I think starting with In-Blaze Epiphany is pretty cool. So, like, normally I think what you should do in this situation, especially when you have Ozai, you should probably mulligan. I should probably mulligan, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna believe in the In-Blaze Epiphany, hopefully, because look at him, he's the lion, so it means he's probably like a mono white life gain deck, right? This guy with us? 73 cards? Okay. Not really maybe I don't post this game then. I usually never post decks like this because it's just like, you know, if someone doesn't have 60, 61 cards, they're kind of just not serious. I am going to get rid of that. We need something a little bit sooner. Do I need to also... I guess so. The cover-up's good. Maybe a burst down the line would be pretty nice. Okay, not the line I was expecting. I might want to In-Blaze Epiphany a stronger target than just a 1/1. Okay. I think we just kill it, because that's a pretty juicy target. 3 attack is nice. 3 power. Okay. I think we lean into our... Ooh. Yeah, see, we could go this and go crazy with Ozai, but I think this is the correct thing. Actually, the correct thing is probably to play Legend of Roku. But maybe maybe I can get away with this. Maybe he'll Sheltered by Ghost, and then we'll Deadly Cover Up. Yeah, nice. Okay, maybe this is a postable game then, because he's got, like, the good cards, at least, for mono white life gain. Maybe he's just got his own thing going on where he thinks he needs over 70 cards. I think he had 80 then, right? Pay X. 0. I think we can let it sit there for a little bit longer. And really just try to see if we can get more stuff on the board and then Deadly Cover Up. See, this is nice. I don't think he gets... If I exile him... We have just enough. Let's get rid of Suki. Ooh, okay. So he's got that. What do we do now? I think we need to... He's waiting. Wait, why would he do that? Return all with mana value 2 or less. It's only... Oh, it's only 1. Okay, I misread. I think we just get the big dude out. And... Legend of Roku, so we have a good next hand. Sounds good to me. Looks like he's kind of stuck. Oh, I think I could have used my Bender's wire skin, right? I'm not paying attention. I think we got this in the bag, though. Did he leave? He might have left. I don't want to say it. His name is If I Suck It's My Dad. I don't want to say it. We should have actually used our... I guess it doesn't matter. I was gonna say... How much mana could we get? We can get enough to give him invincible, right? Or indestructible. I was gonna say, though, that I should have kept this floating mana instead of... and then just used my lands, but it doesn't matter because we can just tap our lands. It's not a big deal. I think opponent has decided to leave us, man. I do think this is a, like, his deck is suboptimal, obviously. But this is still a pretty cool, you know, demonstration, I guess. Ozai is so cool in the show, too. He should have had more screen time. The Aang went, like, crazy on him. Gaining life. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we need to keep the mana. We don't need to use Bender's water skin at the moment. Yeah, so I needed to be doing this before, and I was not doing this. Any mana that's left unspent? There we go. Now we can just do this. Ridiculous. Oh, you can pile these up. I just can't help but think, like, if that's a black sun, we're owning. You know what I mean? But then again... Let's just do this to get something off the board. Like, a little bit less ramp would be nice from this guy. I think we just have to do that. Just a little bit less. Alright, because he would have 3 right now. Okay, it turns out it didn't matter, but whatever. Okay. Do we have to kill him now? Yeah, we do. We do. This is an instant? That's so sick. So what we do here is we're gonna do Pyro, and then we're gonna burst. We probably could have done our dude. Okay. So what I was thinking we do that because if we bring him out, oh, he has haste. We could have done the exact same play, I think. No, I don't think we could have. Like, we wouldn't have been able to do. We could have done burst or like. We wouldn't be able to kill both of those things. And I wanted to kill both of those things. So I think Pyro makes sense. Because this is 2 mana, but I would have gotten so... Ooh, no, I would have gotten so much mana back, though. Yeah, we would have gotten a crazy amount of mana back. This would have been... Yeah, we should have technically done this, and then last Agni, and then we can put down the Pyromancer's Goggles. That would have been better. Foundation Scarred. I guess he has a burst as well or something? Even though we have 2 Day of Black Suns, it's just nice to be able to pressure the opponent like that. Ah, dude, I was really hoping I would get a land there. Does this thing die to the lessons removal? Yeah, it does. Okay, it might... Well, actually, now that we have this... I would like to draw it first, and then do Inblaze Epiphany so I can guarantee my next land. Yeah, what I should have done was I should have Inblazed Epiphanied first, decided what I wanted, and then done the Surveil land. That would have made sense. Because now I'm going to let him discard something, and that might not be the best move, especially if it's a monument. If he puts down a monument, we kind of have to do Inblaze Epiphany, sadly. This isn't a big deal. Okay, so now it is. Whoops. That's his third one. The second one. I don't think that deck usually runs artifact removal, right? I think we're okay. Can I tap this mana? Oh yeah, it won't stay though. It won't stay on the board, sadly. This card is going to be able to kill Ozai. That sucks. So we have to Day of Black Sun. These are 1 mana cards. Let's just do that. I want something a little bigger. We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he won't be able to kill it with that lesson. We'd have to use 2 of them. He could also just, like, bounce off or whatever that thing does, but then we'll just be able to re-ETB him. Okay. Do we care about this? Not really. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, okay. Ooh, no, he could still kill me. He could still kill me. Is this too soon? I think we have to do the water skin. As much as that sucks. I'm just worried that if he has more creatures, which it's not hard for him to get, we're screwed. And maybe I kind of need this game to be slow right now, but I don't want him to attack, so I kind of have to just kill this guy. I think that's what I have to do. It's not that that card is a big deal, it's that these things are a big deal. And so a third monument, that would have hurt. That would have really sucked if that guy got an attack off. Would have been a major bummer. That's his removal. That's actually so good. He's gonna draw a crap load of cards though. All draw, no treasures? Okay. Gotta land. Okay, so got 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's correct. If he has another lesson, we do die. Like, if he's got this card, he's used 2 of them. The likelihood of him getting another one just feels so high. He's got it. Why else would he put that card down? He's got it. He can just search and search and search. And then he's gonna draw 3. I mean, like, it just sucks that every Izzet deck that becomes meta is just so lame. Because, like, it should be cool, right? It should be a cool idea to do stuff like that. Please don't have it. He's got it. No? We have so much mana. Like, we just copied that. Oh, this doesn't trigger again, does it? Dang. If only we could do something with this mana. Well, maybe we can get it. I was almost tempted. I was thinking of my next turn, and I was actually thinking about black sunning the board, which would kill Lewis. Ah, dude, really, we just gotta attack again. Let's just look scary. Let's look scary. Wait, we... Good game. You know, if he had kept going, he might win. Alright, we got pretty lucky, I think. That he... Well, I don't know about luck. Combustion technique. Combustion technique. Used Iroh here. Yeah, I mean, he should have 2 more combustion techniques, right? I mean, I'm assuming that deck has to run 4. But he got accumulated wisdom, 3 Grands, 3 accumulated wisdoms. He drew quite a bit.